welcome everybody to the final video in my MLB preview series for the 2016 season. I thought we'd have a look at a few outright markets and see if we can find any value. I will start with the World Series outrights. There were three teams that I looked at that I thought were a touch of value to win the World Series this year. The Washington Nationals, for the reasons that I stated in the National League East preview. You could get 15 to 1 and back them each way, paying out on the first and second place. They're a loaded lineup. They've got great pitching. There's no reason why they can't secure a high seed, get a lot of home field games in the playoffs, and I think they've got certainly of the 1 to 3 that you'd require in the playoffs to be able to navigate through that postseason lottery, the second season, if you like. And I think 15 to 1 each way is a decent value bet. I think the Houston Astros at 16 to 1 each way are a great bet as well. They're a young, improving team. As I say, they're led by MVP candidate Carlos Correa on offense. I think the pitching's underrated. I am a little bit concerned that in the postseason they might not have the pitching to survive, if you like, because you do need that 1 to 3. However, they do have the prospects and the farm system there that if they need to pick up and make a move for a starting pitcher around the trade deadline, if there's one available, there's no reason for the Astros not to go for broke and get it. And I also thought the New York Yankees at 20 to 1, who can also be backed obviously each way, if they stay healthy and the pitching turns up, 20 to 1 just seemed too big and a touch of value. The best teams that are positioned with prospects in the minor leagues, should they need to pick something up at the deadline, are probably the Dodgers, Astros, Nationals and the Red Sox. I don't really see any value in the Red Sox. The Dodgers I could have gone with, but I thought they were a touch on the short side as well. Hit the most home runs this year. I think there are 4 that jumped out at me. Giancarlo Stanton's the favourite. He can be backed 6 to 1 with Betfred. He perennially gets around the sort of 40 mark. I've backed him on more than one occasion. He's yet to lead the league in home runs. He keeps getting injured towards the end of the season, which doesn't help. But if he can stay healthy for the whole year, with the fact that they've moved the fences in Miami, there's every chance that Giancarlo Stanton could lead the league in home runs this year, and you'd have to include him in any sort of betting portfolio for this market, just to cover it, if anything else. My second selection is Nolan Arenado of Colorado. He led the National League in home runs last year. He is turning 25 this year, so he should be entering his prime as a hitter, and playing half his games at Coors Field in Colorado, that's going to help him hit the ball out as well. Nelson Cruz is 25 to 1 with Ladbrokes. I'm not sure where that price has come from, if I'm completely honest. He's led the league in home runs the last 2 seasons. Nothing's changed. He still plays in Seattle this year. Obviously 2 years ago he was playing in Baltimore, which is a much easier park to hit the home run. But he's led the league last year, playing half his games in Seattle. Absolutely no reason he should be 25 to 1, apart from the fact he's a year older. I mean, look, Stanton, as I say, is playing in a ballpark where they've moved the fences in, and he was hitting them as well. But Cruz at 25, so I think you just have to include him in the portfolio as well. My final selection is a Houston Astro. It's George Springer. He's 50 to 1 with Betfred to lead the league in home runs. I did bet him last year at the same price, because his numbers for half the season before, which was his rookie year, projected very well over a full season, and I see absolutely no reason why George Springer can't hit a lot of home runs should he play the full season this year for Houston. And then obviously there'll be cover there. They'll be looking probably to pitch around players like Correa and that a little bit that have got a lot of pop. And I think Springer's a live one at a good price of 50 to 1. For the MVP in the American League, I've mentioned him a couple of times in both the West preview for the American League and earlier on in the outright selections. 16 to 1 Carlos Correa with Ladbrokes to be the American League MVP this season, I think is a huge price. Obviously Mike Trout's a very short price favourite. He's a perennial contender for the Angels. I don't see Los Angeles doing much this year. I do think Houston could be very good, and if Correa continues to grow from the numbers he put up last year, there's every chance at the end of the season we'll be crowning him the MVP of the American League, and 16 to 1 is a huge price. For the Cy Young Award in the American League, Corey Kluber has won the Cy Young 2 seasons ago for Cleveland. The Cleveland pitching looks very good. There'd be a slight worry about run support, but the voters in the Cy Young Awards now do seem to have moved away from looking at wins quite so much. Kluber's got very good potential to put the numbers up in the strikeouts and the whip and such statistical categories that I think are more taken into account these days. And he's 6 to 1. Dallas Keuchel was right up there in the race last year. Now whether or not he can repeat, I don't know. But he's 9 to 1 to win it. I think that's a worthy price for a pitcher, or the number one pitcher, if you like, on a contender. Final selection for the American League Cy Young Award. I'm willing to take a punt on Justin Verlander that he can bounce back to form this year. If he can come back to the Verlander of old, 50 to 1 with Corals could look a ridiculous price come the end of the season. He's another one who's won this award before, and there's no if you know, you're trusting that he stays healthy, and you're trusting that he does find the old Justin Verlander. But 50 to 1 is a big price, and it makes it worth the while taking a chance on that. Over in the National League, the MVP betting is dominated by 2 players really. Bryce Harper, the reigning MVP, he's young, he's still growing as a hitter. It almost seems impossible that he can improve on what he did last year, but I think he's too short this year. Chris Bryant's fairly short, the reigning Rookie of the Year as well. I think the first baseman for the Chicago Cubs, Anthony Rizzo, he's 14 to 1 with Ladbrokes. He's normally, he puts up a lot of good numbers. He's playing on a good loaded team this year. I think he'll put numbers up again. He'll certainly be in the conversation. I think 14 to 1 makes him certainly worth my selection for the National League most valuable player. The National League Cy Young, dominated by Clayton Kershaw. You can't really go wrong putting your money on Kershaw because he just puts the numbers up year on year on year. I personally, I'm looking at Steven Strasburg contract year. I think he can put it all together. He's got everything you'd look for to put up the statistics required to win yourself a Cy Young Award, and he's 22 to 1 with Corals. He'll be looking I mean, he's already been paid once, but he'll be looking to parlay this year into a big payday on the free agent market as well. And I think 22s is a worthwhile punt. Max Scherzer is the number one pitcher on that team. He is shorter in the market, but and probably a safer bet. But from terms of value and you know, these markets can be quite volatile. People can spring from nowhere to win a Cy Young Award. I think Strasburg is worth a chance at 22 to 1. Speaking of Max Scherzer, there is a market for most pitcher wins. Obviously, to get wins, you need to be pitching deep into games. Your team needs to be scoring runs for you so that you qualify for the win. Max Scherzer is 8 to 1. He's second in the betting to Clayton Kershaw. I don't trust the Dodgers offense as much as I do the Nationals. The Nationals get a lot of easier games with having to play the Phillies and having to play the Braves in that division. I think 8 to 1 for Scherzer's a worthy price. And I certainly think, as I said in the preview, that the Nationals can win 100 games. And with Scherzer being number one pitcher on that team, I would think Scherzer will win a lot of ball games this year. 8 to 1 is decent value. That basically brings to close my preview. Later on today, you'll be able to see the first round of games. Finally, we get some meaningful baseball. I'll have a preview up for those later on. See you later. Bye bye.